Today we've got the Maiden flight on the FMS Avanti 90mm. Let's take a look at the equipment for today's flight and try to get this maiden flight completed. We're using the Radiomaster TX16S Max with the AG01 gimbals. Talk about the setup real quick. I use the settings I normally use on a sport jet for the maiden flight. Also, it being a little bit bigger than the 80mm, controls to be fairly similar, so I started with something close to that as well. We've added a couple things to this one. We've got the thrust vectoring nozzle on the back. Maiden flight, probably not going to switch it on. Second or third flight, hopefully we can try that out a little bit. Everything on the thrust vector is on its own channel. You have two options when you're putting this together. You can either use the Y leads that come with it. You have a 2- and a 3-way. The 2-way is for the rudder, because you have one servo on the rudder and you'll have one for the yaw on the thrust vectoring, and then you have a 3-way, and that's for the elevator, because you have 2 on the elevator. So you plug those 2 in, and then the thrust vectoring on the elevator. Paint job is really cool on this. We've done the polyacrylic Minwax, and this is the clear gloss, and it actually makes the metallic flake really stand out in the gold, and the red becomes more vibrant as well. Only thing we didn't do is clear the canopy. Sometimes when you clear the canopy, it makes it a little bit foggy and like hazy looking, so we just went over the paint that was going over the lines. Let's take a look at the equipment inside for today's flight. You've got the receiver actually mounted at the top right here. So we've got it upside down. We've got one antenna going up and down, one antenna long ways, and then we've got a satellite up here. This is the SMC 6000 green pack. So these are the normal non-high voltage packs. You charge those at 4.20, and we got a GPS sensor in there as well. I also bypassed the ailerons and the elevator and the nose wheel, so everything's separate. We've got AS3X Plus on this one, so the nose wheel gyro is going to be separate. So these leads right here are not going to anything. Those leads that I just mentioned are plugged straight in the receiver. So with AS3X Plus, as I mentioned, you've got the nose wheel gyro set up. So it'll actually use a gyro separate for the nose wheel, and you can adjust that gain independently from the rudder. So we've talked about the equipment on this Avanti 90mm. Let's go ahead and get it in the air. All right, we got it lined up. Low rate on the aileron, medium rate elevator and rudder. Let's go. Full power. Keep it on the center line. Pull it right out. Might need a little up trim. Get into power, take off. Pull the gear up. Feels pretty good. Does feel a little heavy for a sport jet 90mm, but it's not too bad. Looks like we need just a little bit of right aileron, a couple of clicks, and she's smooth. It's got a lot of elevator authority on this. I've flown some of the other Avantis and they don't seem like they have as much elevator authority. Too, it could be because we're a little after the CG, the book. From the book, we're about 5mm back, and that's with the gear up. That feels pretty good. Give it a couple clicks more of elevator. Let's see her roll rate, how it does. Fairly slow roll rate, and you can see it's nose heavy. And something to keep in mind, I did use a heavier 6000 pack and moved it forward. I didn't use the weight that's included with it. So, and that's another reason why I actually went with a heavier pack, because I didn't want to use that nose weight in there. Get a few more clicks of aileron. So we're going to flip the gyro and see what it feels like. So it's just low rate. Seems to hold really well. This motor and fan setup is in the Vipers, so it should be real efficient. Just kind of flying around getting her dialed in. So this is medium. You see it's wanting to nose over, so we can actually move that battery back. And the way it felt taxiing around, it was kind of a little heavy on the nose, so it felt pretty good. We'll go ahead and bring it around. We got low wind today, but from other Avantis, expect a smooth flyer, even without a gyro. So I'm gonna bring it around. I'm gonna do a gear pass. Feels pretty good right there. Yeah, higher a little bit. We'll put the flaps down, see what it feels like. We'll do an approach. Probably won't land it on this one. Probably do a go around. Set RF signal low, but not really worried about that. I didn't adjust my telemetry correctly. Let's want the balloon up just a hair. Then we'll give it a little bit of down. So we'll try to bring it in on this one. I'll bring it around. Got full flaps down. We're about 50% power. Bring it around. We'll lower the power down. Keep the nose down. Bring it around a little bit more. We're powered completely off now. Bringing it down. Letting it settle in. Set it down. It floated a little bit more than I thought, but I've got 100% on the flap rate, so it should slow down a little bit more, but we are carrying some extra weight. And then we didn't have to use a reverse thrust that much. We'll pull the flaps up, clean it up, bring it over here. But I can definitely see where this bird wants to float. However, we did have it fairly nose heavy, so we're gonna maybe go lower elevator or lower it down and move the battery back just a hair. But pretty good maiden flight to start with. So let's take it over to the bench and look at the post-flight results. Now we've got the FMS Avanti 90mm back on the ground. Talk about some things I noticed and also the battery results. First thing I noticed, it a little aggressive compared to some of the other sport jets on the rudder, so definitely something to watch out for. We got it up in the air, just need a few clicks of aileron. That's going to vary and really come down to how you set this plane up, because none of the linkages or ball end links are actually on this plane out of the box. Actually, I take it back, the rudder is actually what to go, but the elevators, the ailerons, and the flaps, you have to do all that yourself. So pay attention to get those neutral and flush, lined up across the wing. That way you can try to have as minimal trim as you need on the maiden flight. Power on takeoff, plenty of power. It's got the same setup as the Viper does with the 1950 12 blade and the reversing ESC. So, I expected to have plenty of power. We didn't get really on the throttle much, just flying it around. I will say in the sky, after doing this clear gloss and this paint job, it looks really sweet up in the air. I didn't know about the red and gold together, but the gold having the metallic flake, we did the clear gloss, showed up really well today. The lights, you've got a solid one on top and then the bottom ones blink all the way across. Down in the comment section, if anybody's bypassed that or came up with a good way, let me know. You notice that the nav lights on the outside, they actually stay on flashing with the bottom. Normally those are solid, so if anybody's bypassed that, like I say, let me know down in the comments. We were on a 350 timer and we went 21 seconds left on useful throttle, which is over 25%. So we were 330 on the throttle and 343 in the air. I wasn't heavy on the throttle because we were cruising around, but just wanted to get a feel of it. And I will say, gyro on and off, this is a clean flying Avanti. It was really smooth through the air. In the turns, it felt fine. I did feel like the elevator authority is pretty strong on this bird, and it might be because we're a little bit lighter in the front end. I didn't put the weight block that's in there that FMS recommends to use with the thrust vectoring. However, I am running a heavier battery. They call for, I think, a 5,000, so that should offset most of the weight. But we'll see on some future flights and, kind of get it dialed in a little bit more. But it flew fine with the SMC 6000 green pack all the way forward. We'll take a look at what we got left on the battery voltage. And most of these 90mm, especially sport jets, they can handle a little bit heavier, 6,000. These weigh somewhere around the 840 gram weight. So, just kind of give you an idea on the battery. But we're at 392, 391 across the board, 64%. So if you're just cruising around, about like the Viper 90, it's going to be about a 5 to 6 minute plane. If you're really busting the throttle, ripping the sky, you're probably going to be around 4 minutes. So overall, I'm really happy with this bird on the first flight. We'll get it dialed in for the flight review and, put some thrust vectoring in there, moves, and, do a little bit more on this bird because it is capable of more width of thrust vectoring. On the rates, the elevator might dial it down just a little bit or go to low rate. I was in medium there, and then the ailerons on low rate felt pretty good, may even bump those a little bit up, but I'll have those in the description for the flight review on the final results. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and follow along for future reviews. If you like today's flight review on the Maiden flight, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one.